Good morning and welcome to my live. I thought I'd come live today to connect with the current energy. Just want to welcome you all. Also welcome my spirit guides. I just saw movement going on behind me. Just connecting now with some of the energies that are coming in, connecting with pink and gold, pink of unconditional love and the gold of wisdom. There is a lot unfolding at this time, so what I want to do is focus very much on loving kindness. Loving kindness comes in as a strong message at this time. Loving kindness, connecting with our heart chakra, connecting with our higher heart chakra. And as we're focusing upon our heart space, filling that vortex up of love, compassion, and loving kindness. At this time, we are in a time of great challenge. I have seen much of it widespread through different media streams, social media and stuff like that. Many people feel challenged at this time. I'm seeing people being triggered by events unfolding, people being triggered by news streams, and so forth. So it's very important to really come back to the heart, very much here, heart space. So loving kindness is very much at the forefront of my message at this time. I'm also going to speak a little bit from the space of the heart and without judgment about certain aspects that are unfolding. Hopefully to give some guidance with regards to managing certain events that are happening, whether they are events that are of spiritual nature or very much of events that are unfolding at the earth plane. There are a lot of events that are happening at earth plane level that are setting a lot of triggers. A lot of people at this time are at earth plane level, are very much connecting to the news, what's happening through news streams, through media streams and stuff like that. And this is where we are at this time, and the advice is, if that is creating a trigger for yourself, to remove and detach yourself from that situation, because it's very important at this time that we master detachment, and it is very much in alignment with the current energy of the new moon in Taurus. We're actually in the hub of this new moon energy right now. So as we are embracing loving kindness and detachment, we are nurturing ourselves, because at this time it is a time of the reflection, rejuvenation, time of really focusing upon ourselves. So what I'm about to say with regards to a lot of things that are unfolding upon the earth plane, when we are looking at earth plane and earth plane energy, frequency, vibration, 3D energy, frequency, vibration, people then tend to set an opinion on certain events that are unfolding, and that is fine because everyone has an opinion on certain events and situations that are unfolding. However, when we are getting drawn into situations that are that's fear-based, situations that can generate a fear, situations that can generate a distraction, situations that, as a result of our fear and our triggers and so forth, that leads to judgment. I have had a very interesting situation over the past days, and yes, when we are looking at things that are unfolding around us at this time, we are in the midst of a pandemic, coronavirus. Many people have mixed feelings about the coronavirus, mixed messages, mixed feelings, mixed, thought forms and so forth. And a lot of people whom are not experiencing it firsthand are being gravitated to news streams, being gravitated to information, and more importantly, which is evident at this time, being gravitated to disinformation. And there is a lot of it out there at this time, a lot of disinformation. And from that, it creates an energy field that is no longer serving us a purpose. It's not going to gravitate us into a higher frequency, into a higher dimension, and into a higher energy and light that's going to be eventually of serving us a greater sense of purpose. It doesn't gravitate us into the space of loving kindness. So this is where we are at this time when we're looking at social streams around us. I personally have put on my Facebook group Yonderval not to be sharing anything that's of conspiracy theories, simply because my space, Yonderval, is focusing purely on spiritual development, purely on the elevation of the soul, purely on elevating ourselves into loving kindness, into the space of where we can feel safe in a space that we can share our spiritual experiences and evolve and to develop. Sometimes in this time we have to set boundaries, healthy boundaries, in order for us to come inside and detach from ourselves, from ourselves, even ourselves, and what's going on around us. We need to detach the situations. So basically, that is a space that, and a boundary that I have set within my Facebook group, Yonderval, so people can feel safe to develop a space of sanctuary, a space of making sure that people can feel safe. And I made that decision purely because even as you may have a look at my Facebook wall, scroll down. At that moment in time, I sat there because I watched the daily news updates from government, and that is what I do. I'm sitting and watching the updates, and I just purely put about Matt Hancock. He made an announcement about the vaccines, and I'm not going to go into the vaccines because as a healer, and I'm going to say this as a healer, our practices as Reiki masters, Karuna, angelic. If you are a Reiki or a healer or practicing any form of healing, you do not give an opinion on whether or not one should be taking the injection or a vaccine of any kind or any medical practice. What we do as practitioners is that we complement any health and medical practice. We are there to complement and help the client to heal mind, body and spirit. We are not there to cast a judgment on any form of medical practices. It is written in our guidelines from different federations, and because what we do as healers, if we're actually working in the field of healing, we're insured, we're part of a body. If we're part of a government, like a body that's like a federation and stuff like that, like the Reiki Federation and stuff like that, it's within our guidelines. They set ethical guidelines for us to follow. So I'm sitting there because I'm sitting there looking at the coronavirus. I'm in the middle of the coronavirus. People around me here at the north of London, it is quite a hot spot. People around the world, whether you're in the United States, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in Europe, we have, many of us have experienced this firsthand. Many of us are experiencing it to differing degrees. Many may not have come into contact with the coronavirus, but are experiencing the effects of it by having to stay indoors. And for some and many people are meeting the challenges of having to be indoors because of the challenges of family life, and people are experiencing certain emotional distress. People are experiencing domestic abuse. There is a wide spectrum for the coronavirus at this time is experiencing a wider perspective. So from a spiritual sense and from a healer, I'm here to encourage people to connect with loving kindness, to connect with detachment, to help people understand, that they have got somewhere to feel safe, somewhere to feel that they can share their spiritual experiences and so forth. So my spiritual group is there for growth, for development and for connection. And if you want to share meditations in the group, or something that you feel is benefit, that's where that is a point. And if you would like more information of messages, it's messages from Yonder Vale. Some of you are part of that group. Feel free to do whatever you need to do in a safe way. But coming back to my post on the vaccine, I personally, this is finding very interesting, because you will see from the stream of the post itself, not once did I say to advise. There was not once did I advise about the vaccine. Not once did I say, do you want the vaccine, or what's your opinion on the vaccine, or anything like that. It just said, quote, Matt Hancock made the announcement that we have had a development with the vaccine. And today, interestingly enough, St. George's Day, which is the patron saint of England, is actually going out to trial. 5,000 people are actually have actually come forward. That is personal choice. That is personal choice. I'm not going to comment on that choice. What I will say, as with all medical practices, healing professions, and stuff like that, where there are developments to eradicate illness, to eradicate disease, to actually bring ourselves into mind, body, and spirit, and the balance. That is what the prime goal of the higher realms. This, at this time, whatever is unfolding, is a lesson in itself. So this particular post did not say, hello, do you want the vaccine? What's your opinion on the vaccine? It just made an announcement. I then got to read it. I do not want this. I do not consent. I do not this. This is for the unawakened. Yes, I even got accused of not being awakened. Yes, judgments came in at an alarming state. I'm sitting there being very consistent with my responses, very consistent, coming in, trying to be spiritual as much as I can, but being firm. But what came to me and from those whom are truly awakened is the fact that these souls got triggered, and they got triggered. And that is something that when we get triggered by an event, by a situation, we then have to ask ourselves, why are we being triggered by this? So why are we being triggered by the vaccines? What is actually going on energetically around vaccines in general, or anything else that's coming through? Yes, there are streams, and I do not want to get into this by certain individuals. Conspiracy theories are having a part to play in this as well. So, that feeds our fear mechanism. So this actually feeds into the fear mechanism. So, then we cast a judgment based on that. Okay? And then that then leads into judgment. So fear, anything that triggers news streams, so forth, then leads into triggers fears. It triggers fears. And then we say, well, why are we being triggered by this? Why are we being triggered by this? I have actually had people whom are claiming to be international practitioners got triggered by the whole thing. And I'm sitting here, but why are you being triggered? That means you have to go within yourself. So I'm also, I found myself being blocked and blocking because of the situation. And yes, people have blocked me because I'm triggering them, because I made a statement. So that's what's actually happening. There is a cycle of events happening at this time. Okay, a cycle of events, and and that's where we are at this time. If I'm triggering people, okay, because of what I'm saying or commenting, then we have to step back, and we have to step back in loving kindness. Why is this triggering me? Why am I being triggered by this? People get threatened. Then the vices kick in: envy, jealousy, fear. Why are we in this space? And unfortunately, I do trigger a lot of people. Unfortunate for me. And then I'm saying, well, why am I doing this? Why am I triggering people? But that's not a reflection on me, that's a reflection on that other person. And this is the advice I'm going to say. If you are having that same issue, that you've put something up there and it's triggered someone in a negative way, then you have to say, well, no, that's not a reflection of what I've just done and said. That is a reflection on that person. That person is being triggered because that person has to go inside. I'm also going to say, and it's also loud and clear on my Facebook wall, and I'm going to say this from being a medium, and I am a medium myself, as you know. I had another medium turn around and say to me that my guides are not of the word not happy, or they're disappointed in you, Elaine. This is a part of this thread, on this thread, and you'll see it. Disappointed in you, Elaine, because you have said your guide is better than everybody else's. Not once did I say my guide is better than anybody else. Not once. That was her trigger. Okay, that was her trigger, purely her trigger. And then I responded to her in a loving way. I'm sorry, I disagree. This is not how spirit guides do not make these kind of statements. If you have a medium come to you, and thankfully I'm a medium, but for her to come at me to say that her spirit guides are not, are disappointed, that is no reflection. If I turn around and say to you guys, hello, I've got my team here, my spirit guides are very disappointed in you, that's not coming from a space of love and kindness, and that's not a reflection of spirit guides. That's not a reflection of them in the higher lights. What they do is they will give a consolidated wisdom that's coming from the heart space, but they not once will they say that they are disappointed or not happy, because that's not their space. They see the wider. If things are not happy, now spirit guides will turn around and say to you, and they often said that to me as well, please detach yourself from that situation. It's no longer serving you a purpose. Okay? That is what spirit guides will do, because that is loving kindness and loving guidance, because spirit guides are here to give guidance. They're not here to dictate. They're not here to override your free will or anything like that. They are here to journey the journey with you as a soul in incarnation. They are here, yes, they oversee your incarnation. They are monitoring the energy flow around you. As you are hitting in higher frequency, you become more protected by them because you become more aware of their presence. They are there to facilitate, to protect. They are there if there are any energetic downloads. If you are receiving healing, they are there to monitor the healing energies that are coming into your field, because that's what they do. I know when I've done healing, and as a healer, I'm very aware of guides that come in. Sometimes if I'm doing healing on clients, I become aware of the other person's guides coming in. When I've had healing, I've had healers become aware of Horus coming in, and their healers their guides step back because this is what's happened to me. Their healing guides step back. Horus comes in and works with the healer, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, your guide stepped in and working with me and guiding me." Because that sometimes happens as well. So guides are there for the higher good, the higher purpose. So, if a medium comes in and says they're guides or your guides, and I've had that also happen to me in circle, oh, your guide has said this, that, and the other, and it was done in a way that made me feel not very good within myself, and I'm like, well, no, because I'm a medium myself. I then said to her, that is not how guides work. Guides don't work like that. Spirit guides don't work like that. They work in a gentle way. They work in a non-judgment way. They don't judge because they're not in that space of fear. They're not in that space of vices or anything like that, because they work purely in the space of unconditional love. So, we have to be mindful, when we go for a reading, if that reading is not benefiting for our higher good, it's not coming from a space of healing, if it comes from a space of judgment and you're not feeling good at the end of the day, then you have to disregard that. Okay, you have to disregard that because it's not resonating to your energetic field. So this is where we are at. I am actually, I'm not here for the masses. I'm here for the chosen few. This is how I work. This is how we all should be working. We're not here for mass, to generate mass attractions or anything like that. We're here working with the flow of spirit as we are ascending. We know our missions. We know our goals. We know that we are here for the higher good of the planet and the wider whole. What does it mean to be in a higher wisdom, in a higher awareness? What does it mean for you to be in that higher awareness? Because if you have a look, think about awareness being like the sun. The sun is up at the sky. It's seeing a whole. It's seeing a wider view. So if you see yourself up in the sky, shining down like the sun. So basically, awareness, you're seeing a lot wider. You're not seeing in a tunnel. You're not going out there searching because you're there in the sky. So if you look up in the sky at any given time, it's in a position. Sometimes that sun will sort of slowly move around. But is that sun actually moving, or is it us as a planet that moves and revolves around that sun? So basically, the sun, see the sun as in one position in the solar system, and the planets are moving around that sun. So this is basically how it is. Everything's moving, rotating, and the sun sits in the middle, and the sun is seeing the wider perspective. Say basically, if you think about the sun, you're sitting in the center point of the whole galaxy. So if you put yourself in the position of the sun, that becomes the awareness, because you are not sitting from a planet. That planet comes in at a certain view of the sun. So are you the sun or are you a planet? And this is another thing. So awareness, see yourself as a sun, expanding your awareness. Do not be a planet where you're, rotating around and seeing things from a viewpoint. Okay, So we go into that. Awareness also is it's an amazing intelligence that comes in. Now, there is also within the sphere of ascension, and it also depends on the soul contract and the soul journey, is that some people are working from the mind intelligence and some people work spirit. And it doesn't matter whether you're working from mind intelligence or whether you're working from spirit. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is that you are working from the higher good of all. So, awareness can also be both. And it doesn't matter whether you have one or the other or you got both, because what matters at the end of the day is loving kindness. So, as we are connecting with that awareness, and if we are utilizing that awareness for the benefit and the healing of the whole, and healing is at the top priority, we then are manifesting a wider. So basically, we have within that the Trinity of truth, balance, and well-being. So basically within that forms the fundaments of divine awareness, the mind, the body, and the spirit. So what I am going to say at this time, that many metaphors are unfolding. Many metaphors are unfolding at this time. One of them, I put it on my wall today, and a lot of people may not realise it or may not understand it. So we have been asked on a physical sense to social distance. Okay? I'm seeing this as an opportunity and a metaphor of letting go. So we are letting go as we're moving forward on our journey. Moving forward, we are letting go of things that no longer serve our higher good. It doesn't mean to say that we are entering into the space of judgment. It means that we are at a space that if we hold on to that, which obviously if you have a look at the moment, if you're indoors at the moment, you're doing stuff, you are decluttering, and when you're decluttering, you're letting go, you declutter, you're letting go, so basically you're doing a spring clean. Anything that no longer serves your higher good, anything that no longer serves your higher good, let go. So basically, this is where we're at, the triggers, what is happening for us. Are we being triggered by this, that and the other? What's going on in our everyday lives? Is that triggering us? Let it go. So when we come into ourselves, we then discover that certain things are no longer serving our wider good. Then we have to let it go. Because if we don't let it go, then we hold on to something that is not going to benefit us on the longer term, and that can come back to haunt us in a big way. So, we're holding on to baggage that's not serving our common goals. So, letting go is about it is about allowing the things to just be as they are as well. Just to be as they are, without having to control the outcomes as well. So this is another thing that's happening around us. Everybody's having to control something, or control a situation, or control mechanism that's happening. We are not here to control situations or even resist outcomes. So we have to let go and remind ourselves that, if we're unhappy about events or negative situations that are happening in our lives, detach ourselves from that situation, even if it's for a while, to assess, to evaluate, why is that situation triggering me in this now? And then, is that outcome going to be affecting me on the longer term? Is that space of judgment, that space of vice, that's triggering other areas in my life, making me feel angry, making me feel fearful, making me feel judgmental, making me feel judgmental of other people? You know, is that going to be benefiting me on the longer term? How's that going to affect my outcomes? Is that blocking my evolution? Is that blocking me from progressing forward on my spiritual journey? So yes, let go. Let go. And do that from the space of unconditional love as well. Because unconditional love has no conditions, it has no limits. It's free flowing, it's cyclic in nature. It's positive, and you can feel this energy of love without even having to express it, because this energy of love is unconditional, it's nurturing, it's pure, and it's universal. There is no limits, there are no bounds, and this unconditional love comes from the space of the heart and the higher heart. So this is where we are at this time. We're at the time of letting go. Certainly with the new moon in Taurus, at this time, so very much wanting to go to Aldebaran. That is coming to my mind, the star Aldebaran. The eye of Taurus, and I also, as I'm connecting with the eye of Taurus, I also connect with like the eye of the bull, the eye of Horus. When I'm connecting with the eye of Horus, it is about shifting yourself into a wider awareness. And as we are doing that, we connect with the sun and be the sun. So technically, being the sun, we are not going to be entering the sphere of judgment. We're not going to be in the sphere of fear, envy, jealousy, and so forth. We embrace our Trinity, we embrace ourselves. We know that each and every one of us are divine. We're all on a journey, and we're all on a path of divine light. So there, that is my message for you all today. Be mindful, be mindful. I'm going to say be mindful again of the messages that are coming out there. I'm actually going to be running a couple of courses. Hopefully over the next week I'll get that all set up. And this is about discerning energy, discerning messages, discerning what is coming in, understanding the role of spirit guides and angels, and working a little bit on frequency and vibration. I actually do this on my mentorship program, on a one-to-one mentorship program. I do this as one of the sessions that I do, especially if people are on embarking on their spiritual development in terms of wanting to connect with their Akashic records and to spirit or things are happening that's happening. So yes, I do that, and part of that, I work in full alignment with Horus, and my higher self, and often what I do on this particular unit is I work on frequencies, and understanding how frequencies work in the way we are delivering our readings as well. How we are working, shamanically, is probably the better way of putting it, because shamans are shifting up and down the dimensions, bringing in different sources of information, and we do that. Not only are we doing that in our connection, we are doing that in healing as well. We are shifting up and down dimensionally, bringing in different forms of information and connection. So technically how I would define it, so we go, if you're looking at readings and the structure of readings and stuff like that, life path is very much at a third, fourth dimensional level. We then go into spirit connection, which is spirit connection, where we're looking at the connection with loved ones, as loved ones coming in terms of mediumship. We then shifting into 5, 6D level. So then we become aware of spirit and spirit presence. So we go into, and we are delivering loved ones, and I have to, and then we go into the sphere of the Akashic records, which goes up into another frequency. It goes higher, a little bit higher than that. I would say 6th, 7th, 8th dimension Akashic records. Then we become more aware of who we are, our higher selves, other our spirit guides. We can get that connection anyway at 5D, but to actually then connect into the masters, to the cosmic energies, we're then operating 10th to 12th dimension. So when we are going into that sphere and we then start channeling, and yes, I can sit here and I can channel, and I can bring that energy in, the connection to that energy. There is a difference between channeling, and then there's a difference between trance. Channeling is where the medium has a spirit presence, and I have to say you have spirit presence, or you can connect into the collective field. Again, there's a difference between channeling a collective field and channeling spirit. So there is a difference there. So then you actually have that, and that comes in at that particular level. You then have trance, and I say that is probably the highest frequency that you are going to attain, because then you then shift your consciousness to one side, and that spirit presence comes in, blends with the medium, builds what you call a hologram. Back in old school mediumship, they used to do ectoplasm. What they tend to do now, many modern school mediums will call it, is photoplasm, which is a hologramic. It's a hologramic field, so they can use the energy and build a feature over the medium's face. Sometimes that is what we call transfiguration. So spirit then will build that transfiguration. Lots of people have seen Horus come through me. I've done this in private sessions with clients, where he's come through and they actually see his face coming in. He comes in and he switches his face like this, okay, and that he's delivering the Akashic field, the Akashic records, being master of the scrolls. because that's what one of his tasks is. He's master of the scrolls, which is the Akashic records. So technically, that is what happens, and that's why I have been able, through my connection with Horus, is to unfold different elements of the Akashic records. I also have, through connection with other spirit guides and masters, working with their energies too, unfolding elements of their Akashic records as well. So that is what I've been able to do, and I do that in what you call mediumship. So I'm able to discern. I'm also able, through that, because of the understanding of the Akashic records, able to discern other messages that are coming through. I'm able to discern whether that person is actually indeed channeling the true source, or whether they're going into the collective field to bring that in, or are they connecting with another energy that is not who they think it is, or who they think it might be. Because as mediums, as souls, we all have our spirit guides, okay, and it is about honouring their presence, and understanding, their roles, and getting their messages out there. So I'm also able to discern, the energy that channel has brought that message in on, and again, part of that my workshop will be looking at work coming in, messages that have come in from other channels, and asking, again, we're going to have to go into the space of opinion, but this is part of the educational flow. Okay, where do you think that energy is? Are you, what do you think that might come in as? So, for example, if I turn around and I say to you, I am Mother Mary, and I've just connected with the divine, and the divine is now going to establish a government in Washington, D.C., and Jesus Christ is going to come down and govern that government. So, straight away, Mother Mary, in the first line, there is a distortion, because Mother Mary is the divine. Mother Mary forms part of the Holy Trinity, so she is the divine. She does not need to speak to the divine to bring a message in. Also, Mother Mary would not be focusing her energy on setting up a government in Washington, D.C., and Jesus Christ is not going to be governing Washington, D.C. This is not how it works, because Mother Mary will tell you as the souls that you are the divine government. You are governing your own ascension. You are the governors of your soul and your destiny. You are your divine government. So this is where we looking at different stuff that's coming in, because at this moment in time we are here. We have got to build ourselves up to discern what is coming in. So also New Age teachers are focusing a lot on their energies, claiming that they are actually channeling the ascended masters to bring in, to feed the matrix, and the matrix where people are 3D matrix, where they are having their opinions and affiliations. The ascended masters are coming in, and they are bringing in the messages about President Trump, about Boris Johnson, about other leaders, giving opinions on these leaders. They are not there to give a political opinion. The Ascended Masters don't do that. They will say to you, because they're sitting in a wider, they sit on councils, they sit on the Etheric Council. We have soul councils, we have the Karmic Board. We understand that all leaders, all politicians, all doctors, nurses, even us as souls, we have we've come down here with a job and a role to do. They have no preference. They have no preference. They will say, however, they will say that there are shifts happening within the templates of the earth. They may turn around and say, and they may guide us. They may say there is a shift happening, happening. And I know there's a shift happening within North and South America at this time because the Masters are showing me this. So, yes, they will say there needs to be a more consolidated healing within the United States at this time. This is what I'm really receiving from Spirit, and I've been receiving this for a very long time, for the past 2 or 3 years, because there has been a polarization deepening upon this planet at this time. We have to get together to heal the planet. This is what the Masters will say. We need to focus the healing energy on that particular country. We need to focus then, on certain areas in Africa at this time, and, making sure that, we can relieve the famine. We need to raise humanitarian awareness. This is basically what the Masters will tell you. And this is what I receive from the Ascended Masters. It is about working within the climates, working within the energy of the earth. They're not going to, Jermaine is not coming down to actually say, we are now, to talk about the money or the banking system or anything like that. He was never about banking. He was never about systems and stuff like that. The Count of Saint Germain was a scientist and a philosopher, and he gave guidance. He certainly gave guidance in the French courts back in that day. I was in that lifetime. He gave some guidance. He came in from Romania, Transylvania, the Count of Saint Germain. Okay, so there have been aspects of him. Yes, Saint Germain was a Templar. He was in King Arthur's court, very much at that centre point. So was Horus. So technically, yes, Horus has been involved with the banking systems in past life. Yes, he has. But what Horus will not do is he will not say that we are releasing this, that and the other. The releasement of funds and the reset and the energy of the economy is actually as it is at this time. We are in the time where the governments are supporting the people, right? This is the energy right now. The energy that I was receiving from guidance last year is that the unfoldment of where the governments are coming in to support the people through what people have defined it to be Gesara or the reset. This is what's happening at this time. We are doing what we call a reset. Reset is a recollaboration or a rejuvenation of what is actually happening. A lot of people are going to think, well, certainly the UK are trying to do what they can in the best way. We're looking at the economy as a whole. That is an energy in itself. So, again, it is about supporting the people, supporting those whom are less fortunate than ourselves, and coming together as communities. This is basically what the what the underlying structure is at this time, coming in from the higher realms. It is about coming together in unity and in love. And this is what the Ascended Masters want for us as souls, to focus on love, to focus on unity, to focus on the wider, okay, and just to be in the space of love and you and one. So I'm going to leave that with you all now. I'm going to send blessings to you all. Stay focused, keep shining. Sending you lots of love, light, and healing, and also healing abundance to all that at this time whom are in need of it. God bless you all. Thank you.